My name's Hunter Way at the Athletes Lounge podcast, and I'm here with my guest.
Hi, I'm Jessica Schenk.
So, Jessica is the North Posey girls basketball head coach, and going into your coach, what do you think your outlook is on the season?
We have a really excited young group. We're small, a lot smaller than we have in the years past as far as numbers go. We have a great group of girls. But I think looking at our numbers, we have about 12 healthy this year. Unfortunately, right now, we've lost a couple girls due to just some different things, some injuries. We had a girl a starter last year that underwent surgery yesterday. We're hoping to get her back really quickly. But overall, just a really group of hungry, ready to fight, just gritty group of girls. We have one senior on the roster this year, Ashton Elpers. She's will be a 4-year member for us. Just a three, our last, I think, 3-sport athlete left here at North Posey. And with a small school, you want those multiple sport athletes. She's a starter on the softball team, starter on the volleyball team, both very successful programs. And so you want those kids that kind of have had success on other teams kind of translate over to your basketball team. We have 2 juniors, and then we have a pretty good core group of sophomores that are eager and hungry to fight, and have a smaller freshman class. And I think maybe having that larger sophomore class is kind of sandwiched between some of those other smaller classes. We are going to be really young, but they're a great group of girls. We started off the year last Monday with only 3 girls. Everybody else was a fall sport athlete that advanced in advanced to regionals in volleyball and advanced to regionals in cross country. And that's good. You want those multi-sport athletes, but it made it, our fall, we didn't have the workouts that some of these other schools had. We didn't have a lot of that preseason time. So we really got everybody this week. And we scrimmage next Wednesday. So that's really tough, and I'm not complaining. I think that success is great. We love that. Even our June was really cut. Our softball team state champs. Most of our girls were on that softball team, and that's awesome stuff. That's awesome for our school. We love that. But again, I didn't get that June. A lot of the other schools may get with some of their athletes. We love our multi-sport athletes. I played 3 sports. I played college basketball, played a year of college softball, played volleyball. So I love it. Being, my husband's athletic director here, and we go to everything. Our kids love going to everything, and seeing our girls have success all the way around is pretty awesome. And we hope that success from those other teams and advancements, kind of breed into basketball this year. We have really high expectations for these girls. We may be small in numbers, but I hope we surprise a lot of people. I'm really excited about just the development of the game of a couple of these girls, especially in our guard play. That's exciting. And hopefully, it translates to the court. So.
You mentioned it, numbers wise, you're small. How big is your team, height wise? And
We have, let's start with junior Alyssa Heath. She'll be a 3-year starter for us. She's about 6 foot tall, long, that not a big body by any means, but she's getting stronger every day. She's in our strength and conditioning program, as is all of our girls. I love that. I teach a 0-period strength and conditioning class and have a couple of them in 0 period in the morning. Coach Schenk has a bunch of them first period throughout the day, and then our other strength coach has them later in the day, and that has really helped. And Heath has gotten stronger. We're hoping to see a lot of play from her on the inside and outside. That she's a type that can shoot the 3 and battle inside. So I would say, start that way with some height. Jazz Ward's another strong post body that we have in there. She went down with an injury last year in the Mater Dei game, broke 3 bones in her face, and just a tough kid after surgery, and she's back ready to go. And so she's another one of those inside that, I'd say she's only about 5'8", but plays bigger than that. And so, and then we've got Kylie Bender. She's about 5'10", can battle inside and just she's not a big body, but tall, long arms that can get in there and battle. Lainey Owens is another taller, strong girl we have in there. Ella Weatherholt will be down for a little bit. She was a starter last year. She had a knee injury that's going to sideline her for a little bit, but she'll be back ready to go. 5'9" post player. And then our guard play, between Ashton Elpers, senior, Ellie Jo Johnson, fresh or sophomore, Mallory Lewig, sophomore, uh, Addie Murphy, who's a multi-sport athlete. Also, she is, about 5'7", just strong athletic bodies. When you look across the board at our girls, and I look at them and the strength they have, and just that, willing to battle in there. I don't care, what size who they are. We've got some girls in there that really don't care if they're 5'5", or 5'10", they're going to go in there and battle. And that's what you want for your girls.
So you mentioned that your guard play is going to be, key component, I guess, for you this year. Well, I guess how do you like to play offense? I guess what's your philosophy, or I guess what do you prefer to do on offense if given the option?
Yeah, so we like when teams play us man to man, or anything, whatever they throw at us, that we're ready for whatever they give us. We like to run a lot of sets and quick hitters and stuff, but also kind of a type of offense that gets the ball moving, screens, cuts, all the way, just anything we're not passing and standing like anybody. Nobody wants you to do that. I won't give up too much, but a lot of people that's watched us know that we kind of follow that kind of concept of pulling the post outside a little bit. We've got some posts that can shoot the ball, and if nobody wants to come out on them, Alyssa Heath, you want to fire three, have at it, but she also can drive. And so it pulls our post players out and adds a little bit more motion in there. We've got some guards that can battle inside. So I think you'll see our girls in all kind, we don't have that post that's going to stand and just with her back to the basket right there on the block. We're not that type of play. That play isn't our style, because it doesn't fit our personnel. Maybe a couple years down the road, that's our personnel, but it's not today. So that shifts a little bit the way we play. I think we've got some girls with a really high basketball IQ that get that, and I think that will help us. We've got some girls that are just athletes, maybe not the best basketball IQ, but they're athletes, and I think that will translate into just that gritty. I think our best offense is our best defense. We're going to be that get in your face all over the place, just that gritty type defense that I think will translate into some offensive possessions for us. Well, at least I hope so. And that's the way, I like to, just watching a lot of basketball college through WNBA and high school ball. That's my favorite type of player, are those gritty, who wants to get in the trenches and get that, just diving for loose balls. We're after everything. We're in your face, causing that havoc for that, that girl with the ball, and just, and I hopefully, like I said, I think our best offense is, when our defense is intense. So hopefully that translates to the court this year.
So how big is your staff, and how do you delegate different tasks to the staff?
So our varsity assistant, Michelle Parrish, she was a basketball player. She's been a head coach before. She was our assistant, or she was our head coach when our softball team went to state a couple years ago. She's been on multiple basketball staffs. She's kind of our disciplinary, I guess you could say. I'm not saying I'm the nice one, but the girls might tell you that sometimes. She's the one that's going to kind of help us hold everybody accountable a little bit more. Our JV coach, Morgan Daly, she's a teacher here at school. It's been our staff. This is her second year. And she does more of the behind the scenes stuff for me. A lot of the technical stuff of huddle and, stats and just, I put the practice plan together, and she helps organize it for our managers on the clock and does all of that stuff that, not that I don't want to do, but I need to have time for other things. So she does that. And then fortunately I have my husband, a lot of people may say, how do you like working with your husband? I'm seeing him every day. And, sometimes it can be challenging, but for the most part, we're each other's number one cheerleader, whether it's, football field for him or basketball court for me. It's hard to stay away. We're constantly watching film together, breaking down stuff together. We love it. And so when football's over, which hopefully isn't for a long time. Hopefully, they kind of keep going, but we'll have him, and he's more of the X's and O's guy. And just like he does in football, he's the X's and O's guy. And so, we were fortunate enough to be at Princeton when Jackie Young was there, and watching her and that group go through. I was coaching at the junior high level, and he was kind of helping with, a lot of things behind the scenes with the high school, strength and conditioning, helping with scout team and things like that during their state tournament run. And he's got a lot of knowledge there, X's and O's wise. And like I said, he used to be basketball coach, played college basketball as well. It's different, being a player. I played at USI and then transferred and finished my career at Oakland City University. It's different because sometimes, you as a player get it. You have that basketball IQ, and getting that to translate to high school kids is sometimes a little harder. You'll say, "Hey, did you catch that? Did you catch that final last night between the Aces and the Liberty?" And they're like, "Oh no, these high school kids, they want to be teenagers too, and they got to have a life outside of ball and athletics, which is good." But getting them to understand why we do what we do. Okay, why is it important to do this? Why does everything have to be the way we want it, and getting them to understand, kind of the logistics around what we're doing on the court and at practice. So it does translate to a game, because it is difficult. I think when you grow up, it's easy to win when you're an athlete. When you're younger and you're just quicker and stronger and you're gritty, and it gets a little bit more complicated as you get up into high school. And understanding that this team plays this, and the very 2 days later you're going to play another team that's going to play a completely different defense, different personnel at you, and you just got to be ready for everything. So there's a lot of planning, a lot of game preparation, a lot of just listening and kind of taking everything in. It can be kind of a challenge sometimes, but I have a great staff that helps me with that, and we feed ideas off each other all the time, and I think that's a good thing. We can kind of suggest and say, "Nah, I don't think so," and go from there. It's been a good working relationship with all of us.
So I mentioned that your team has a lot of ability, but sometimes transferring the IQ can be a little bit of a struggle. Is there anything you as a staff have attempted to do to, I guess, try to transfer some of that IQ to match the ability?
Yeah, when we watch film, we'll really break it down. Huddle's, a game changer. I
Yeah.
think what just kind of showing the girls, why this would work if you run it right. Why this didn't work because of where you were, and then it's like those aha moments, like, oh, and so but having time for that, man, I mean, you talk about how quick a 2-hour practice goes, and film session and everything. And so, every girl has their own Huddle account. Every girl can watch, film on their own. I'll put together clips and different things, for them. But, getting them to play and watch as much basketball as they can, just understanding why we do what we do, showing them, a lot of times we're quick to say, well, that play didn't work. Well, it didn't work because, we weren't, timing wasn't there. And so getting them to understand that. I mean, they're, like I said, all athletes, and some have a really great basketball IQ and some don't, and that's okay, but, and also getting them to play as much as possible. I think about, I love, like I said, I was a multi-sport athlete, but every girl on our softball team, on that state team, was playing softball outside of softball. Most of our girls on our volleyball team are getting extra work in, and they know that. Some of those, we've got a lot of girls that are putting in the extra work, and that's good. But it has to, the we have to understand that we got to work on our game outside of season too. It's team stuff now, and what are you going to do to get better in the off season? And a lot of girls, you can tell, have done that. And that's good, and other ones, have and need to kind of keep getting better every day. And we keep encouraging that for them.
So you mentioned that you played, and that sometimes it's a struggle to kind of translate what you see to the girls. Is there any I guess, was there any challenge when you first started coaching of how to explain this stuff to junior high and high school kids, the
Um,
way you see it?
yeah, and I think I feel like I'm old. I look at these girls and I'm almost, double their age. Right out of college, I started coaching I started young. And I think a lot of times we have young coaches that want to start off right at varsity level. And you kind of have to go through all of that build up to get like, I never in my 20s thought I'd be ready to be a coach at the varsity level. Never. And I did. I started at fifth grade and moved up to seventh grade for a couple of years, had some great mentors under me. Eighth grade, we had some really good athletes there at Princeton, cut down some nets for some eighth grade championships. I know that's, but you have to, in your early 20s, that's kind of what you have to learn from. I think the hardest thing was translating like what I knew from college into, okay, how do you, move this to seventh and eighth grade? And then, when we moved here, was eighth grade coach here for a while, moved up to the JV coach and just got to really learn under some good people and really take, okay, how do we kind of take this? And the game's evolved a lot, in 18 years since I played. But getting translating that, and I think my experience through all of those levels and now here third year in the varsity level, hopefully that's all kind of translate. Like, being a girl who played, I get it. I can see some of the things that the struggles sometimes the girls go through. I was a person that cared a lot about my grades. And so I can see the stress sometimes on these girls, especially at the end of the 9 weeks, or especially for us, final week, right before Christmas break. And we have girls that are vying for valedictorian and still have 4.0s. And that's awesome. I think our team GPA last year was an average of 3.96. I mean, something just crazy. I mean, we've got some incredible student athletes on our roster. And I get that. So, I mean, I understand, school and sports and everything is something that I get. And hopefully I can help translate that to those girls. Though that I get it, I get the struggles sometimes that we go through. But they handle it so well. They really do. And I feel like I do have a good relationship with them. I think they know when I'm serious and when we need to get, but they also know they can have fun too. And that's good. Like you want them to have fun as well.
So you mentioned that your numbers are a little bit small, and does that mean, and sometimes it's just a situation you're put in when you're a little bit of a small when you're a smaller public school. But is there any, I guess, effort to try to drum up more interest in like the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade levels and hope it translates to,
Oh
you know,
yeah. IHSA moved up the girls basketball schedule a couple years ago. I can't pinpoint exactly when it was, but it's been moved up a couple weeks, which overlaps a little bit with our fall sports, especially volleyball. And so it could be an easy sport. Basketball's tough. You think about the winter when you're leaving practice and it's dark and
cold?
it's cold and you're coming to early morning stuff and it's cold, or we have morning practice and you think you get to school and it's dark and cold and you leave practice and it's dark. I mean, it can be, and it's long, you got your Christmas break you're excited for, and you're in there for holiday tournaments and practice every day. It's tough. And so when you're sandwiched between two sports that have had a lot of success, it's a tough boat to be in. So I love the girls that are still here. I love that they're still want to be here. And that's what you want. We have a really strong income. We're going to lose one senior after the season, and we've got a great group coming up as eighth graders that are eager and hungry. And I think, we've got a great seventh grade group. Our numbers, down there are good. We've had to, even at our fifth and sixth grade level, we've had to move up some fourth graders before, and we don't need to do that right now. We're fortunate to have our youth programs growing. We have some great community help with that. A couple local guys and moms that have been players that are helping run that. And I think since we've kind of added that in about 5 years ago and really kind of got it going over the last couple of years, I think you've seen a really good shift and keeping these girls healthy. And and playing and realizing that our, being a small 2A school, we need our multi-sport athletes. And plus, it's good. We don't, being a year-round sport in one thing is good for some people. I'm not saying, it's bad, but it's fun to see these kids to have success. And I'll bring up Ashton Elpers, for example. She's on the IHSA. I think it's called the leadership committee. And I mean, how awesome for somebody to, be a 4.0 student and be who she is and be a starter on that state championship softball team, a starter on that volleyball team that won, and then she's on, just what she's been able to be, and what a great leader of what you're kind of, um, you know, for the underclassmen to see, like, hey, that's pretty cool. Like um, and I think her leadership will kind of translate to everybody else, and it's exciting. So our numbers are this year, like I said, it's tough when you've got a strong sophomore class like we do, which is awesome. These freshmen know that they might not see varsity time till their senior year, and you've got some girls above that sophomore class that are like, these sophomores are playing over me. And so, and they've had success in other sports. I get it. We have soccer players, we have cross country play, we have a lot of, track girls. And so, we love that. I want that. And so I'm not going to beg kids to play. I want who wants to be here. And we've got a great group of girls who want to be here. And that's good. And like I said, after next year, we'll get a strong incoming freshman class and we'll just keep building. And that's all you can do. So
You mentioned that there's been some changes in just the way the game's played since you were a player. What's been the hardest one to adapt to?
oh gosh. Man. I think, the game preparation, I don't remember in high school, and now we did in college. But we just kind of went out, I'm not saying we didn't prepare for other teams, but the way how, not saying it's easier to prepare for teams, it's harder, okay? But the amount of film that you can get and the amount of breakdown that you can get and how it's harder because of how much work you need to do in it. But I would say is there were times where we'd approach teams back in the early 2000s where, okay, we didn't know, we knew he was on the roster, but did we see much film on him besides, you used to have to meet and switch film and all of that stuff. And so now I would say just being ready for the multiple, like, different things. Like I feel like a lot of times we would prepare a lot for other teams than really preparing for what we're going to do. Like we're preparing what we know this team's going to do. Maybe the shift should go back to, let's worry about us. And I'm going to do a better job this year worrying about us, and instead of, what this team does or this team doesn't, or worry, and so, and I think we get caught up in seeing, we watch social media a lot. We look at girls on Twitter or highlight videos or whatever they've done. And like, oh my gosh, did you see that? Did you see that? And so I think the anticipation of, like, somebody we're going to face, it can kind of be there when I just want our girls sometimes to just quit watching all of that and just let's go out and play ball, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's really all I have question wise. Is there anything anyone you'd like to shout out? Any dates you want to
Um,
mention?
No, we start off with Gibson Southern on November 10th. Me and Coach Brasher actually talked that we hope that game gets postponed because that would mean our football teams are playing that weekend. I think that'd be a regional. And so hopefully that's happening for us. But yeah, we've got I think we had 5 games last year that were decided or 5 or 6 that were decided by 1 or 2 points. And then, a handful or more that was decided in the last minute. And, I'm hoping this year that there were times I looked on the court last year and we had 4 freshmen and a sophomore out there. Or there were a lot of times where we had 4 freshmen and 1 junior out there, and I look at that, like, hopefully a year of some varsity experience of these girls can really put us over that hump of finishing some games this year. And that's me too. I'm totally, it's easy to coach from the stands, and when you get, and it's easy to it's not easy to be a JV coach. I don't mean it like that, but when you don't have to make all the decisions and now you're like, wow, this is, it's put a big new perspective for me, and appreciation for head coaches and what they do and the sacrifices for their families. And we wouldn't have it any other way. We love it, but I have a definite appreciation for head coaches and everything they do, and just because it's a battle. It is a long battle, and like I said, when you're a coaching family like we are, we love it, but definitely it's a tough job, and it's definitely tough, and so, but we really hope to kind of surprise some teams this year. That's my goal, and that's our girls' goal. So we're excited.
Well, I've been Hunter Way at the Athletes Lunch podcast. This has been Jessica Schenk with North Posey Girls Basketball, and that's all I got.
Hey guys, this is Hunter Way at the Athletes Lounge podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe where you can. Thanks.